Hello, my name is Adam from Hubspoke Media. Welcome to our second installment of On The Biz. Today's all about creativity and how to produce your creative. On The Biz is all about helping you work on your business, develop your business, so ultimately your business works better for you and you have great systems in place. So straight in to what we're talking about today, the creativity behind creative. I know it's a bit Inception-esque, but basically this is going to give you a guide for creating better creative that is suitable for the different platforms that we have out there, and also thinking about your audience and who you're trying to speak to. So straight into it. Content sizes. Now, you can pause this screen. You don't have to read it in detail now. Basically, there is loads of different sizes of screen that you need. Landscape format, square, vertical, reels, TikTok format. Facebook actually prefer their own version of landscape content. The good news is Canva, tools like Photoshop actually have a lot of these dimensions built in. And once you get to understand what different screen size is and how you can best portray your content, it's making sure that you actually then create your creative to fit the device or screen that you're on. There's nothing worse than having an image that is sized smaller than the preferred device and is actually then getting stretched, because what happens is the image then gets distorted, or if it's been stretched forward, zoomed in, bits get chopped off the side and bits get missed. So if you're ever wondering why your creative doesn't look right, check the dimensions of your creative in the first place. In terms of editing software, so there's loads of editing software out there. We use Adobe Premiere Pro. We also use DaVinci Resolve, and we also use the premium version of DaVinci Resolve because there is a very good free version of DaVinci Resolve that we use. DaVinci Resolve is a fantastic tool. This is a screen grab of Premiere Pro, but actually the layout of a lot of the editing softwares are out there, and equally editing on smartphone devices has come on leaps and bounds with the arrival of things like CapCut and obviously the in-house editing software in Reels and TikTok videos has really come on. At the end of the day, there's a load of different options. You can also use social media apps such as Peachy, Facetune, and InShot, but ultimately they're all trying to advertise to you for premium versions. Equally, Canva has some editing functionality in-house. However, what we would suggest you do is consider what you want to do, pick one and use that. I would recommend you have one for computer and one for mobile device. We use for our high-end image editing, we use Adobe Lightroom. We use DaVinci Resolve for our podcast production, and we also use Premiere Pro for our video production as well. What I would say is there's no right or wrong sort of approach to editing software. It's basically picking up a software that you would like and then working it from there. You don't necessarily need to spend a high-end budget, but at some point you may find the benefits such as the paid features in DaVinci Resolve, such as auto captions and things like that. Also auto reframe, whereas if you buy Adobe Photoshop, you already have that auto reframe available to you as an option. If you're tight on a budget, some of these aren't necessary and you can use the free things, but what I'd do is take a look at some of the YouTubers that I've got on screen. Pete McKinnon, Done Did It, Corridor Crew, Matty Haboya, and Devin Supertramp. They've all created various pieces of content and they're doing some fantastic work out on YouTube. Cameras. Now, this is a question I get all the time, is what cameras do you use? I use Sony A7 IIIs at present, but actually I'm looking to upgrade to Sony A7 IVs. Fantastic cameras, okay, but they don't necessarily need it needed at all times for everybody. If you're starting out, a smartphone with good lighting will make all the difference. So what I'd say is if you want to go high-end option, sky's the limit. If you ask a photographer, they'll probably tell you the ecosystem that they use. I use Sony partly because they're mirrorless cameras, they're very effective, and they are very good at producing a good quality image. But in truth, they all do the same sort of thing. There's also small options like GoPros, DJI do a range of action cams, and also like the Osmo Pocket, where you can get a lapel mic. It's about looking at the right option for what you want to use. Think about what you're filming, how you're filming it, and then maybe make your solution from there. But there are loads of camera recommendations out there. Sky is the limit though, so just be careful Content creation. So could I just do it myself? I get this all the time. Yeah, you can, absolutely. To DIY it, buying the cameras, the equipment, the software, the storage that people often overlook, you'd be very quickly up to £5,000 in the UK. That is obviously to get it to a certain standard. You don't have to do that, and I cannot stress that enough. You've got a smartphone, it is very capable. You could use free software. The thing would be to look at whether you've got a computer for editing and whether that is up to capability. But you do not need the top of the range machines and equipment. Please note that. You can absolutely use them, but you do not need them. I must stress that. You do also then have to learn the skills on how to use them all, so using software and things like that. So another option that we want you to consider is actually outsourcing that work to a photographer, videographer. Obviously, we do this as a job. It's not a pitch for you to use us by all means, but what I'm saying is you can really get good results just by getting a photographer in for an hour. You'll have a fantastic suite of images. Ask them how many photographs roughly you think they'd shoot in an hour for a given event. They'd need to know what the event is or what the products are that they're photographing, but they should be able to give you a good idea of the ballpark in terms of editing. They will come, take the photographs, do everything that they need to with camera settings, and then they will go away and edit the footage. It's very worth having a look at because it can set you in a good stead. And I would always be suggesting then get them back in to regularly update that. So sometimes if you're trying to grow and scale and you want professional content, get someone in to help you. It can really help. It does achieve best results in terms of they're professional in their field. They know what they're doing. And also understand that in the process that you're having to learn the equipment, learn how to use the editing software, learn all of this, obviously time is passing you by. We do offer it, like I say, and there is an option, but it's up to you at the end of the day. What I'd say is professional media is the thing that sets you out from the competitors, and there's so much of it around nowadays. Really, you don't have much of a choice if you want to be competing with the big competitors and what you're doing. So often we get the ideas, people are stuck for ideas for content. We talked about this in our social media 101 thing. We laid out how you can plan your content and schedule your content. But actually, when you've got a load of photographs, say you've had a professional photographer in, you could actually take all of those into a reel. There's loads of reel templates on Instagram, and there's loads of TikTok templates. And if you haven't checked out CapCut, the free version of CapCut is fantastic, and you've got access to a load of fantastic templates that you can then put your images in and work with. There are other ways that you can do this. You can then take the professional media, you can create banners, you can create leaflets, and you can put it out there. And you can basically put the content, the media, in any setting, really. You can put it on a billboard, you can put it wherever you want. All I'd say is when you're thinking about what you're trying to say, make sure that your media matches the thing that you're talking about. So in our case, if we're talking about videography, we want something that relates to videography. The other thing that we see with videography is copyrighted music. I see this on a daily basis where people are posting videos and content to YouTube and various social media channels, and they will be getting struck for copyright. You cannot just use the music that we have in the charts. You need to find yourself some royalty-free music. There are great platforms like Artlist, Epidemic Sound, where you pay a monthly subscription and you just have access to their music library and you can use them. However, really think about what music you are using because at the end of the day, your accounts do get penalized for it. Any monetization, if you're a monetized channel on YouTube, for example, would go to the artist, which is only fair, but also does that have an impact on them showing you results, showing you up in search results? I'd probably think so. So creating video content is really important. Here's an example where I've got acoustic panels all over the floor when we're doing version 1.0 of the podcast studios. And you can see that I've got captions on the screen. Captions are so important. I've touched on it with the paid version of DaVinci Resolve that can do that, and also Adobe Creative Cloud includes it as well, but also TikTok, Instagram, they auto-generate the captions. Captions are really important because not only does it support accessibility, so someone that might have a hearing impairment can actually read the text and it's more relevant, but actually a lot of people browse social media with the sound off. They could be traveling, they could be on in a car with somebody, and they could be having a look at the social media. And if they've got captions on, they are able to read the content without having to play the sound. So Don't have to be so complicated. Simpler the better. Nice clean font. Think about what colour the caption is in terms of what colour the caption is in relation to the background. So there, I'm in dark clothing, so we've got it in white. Obviously, if we had the caption at the top, it would be against the white wall. So we'd want to put that in black or dark blue or something like that. So make sure that the look and feel of what you do with your captions is consistent. Again, captions can be part of your branding in terms of font choice and colour. So make sure that whatever you do, you make a conscious, consistent decision. So when they're watching a video, they know that they're in your ecosphere of content. It's often the things that you don't say. So here is a picture of Henry. Here's what we did editing. So when people are wondering what editing is all about, obviously we took the photos into Lightroom, and I've included a screen grab of the settings on the left there. I've shot with Flash Kit, and basically what we've done is drop the blacks. You'll see it says blacks, whites, shadows, highlights, contrast and exposure. Just because Henry is wearing a white top, I reduced the exposure slightly because his top was very reflective, being white. And what you'll see is we've lifted the exposure slightly, we've dropped the blacks, we've lifted the shadows, and that just sort of flattens out the colour profile. And we've also added, I thought it'd be nice to Henry and give him a slight bit of skin softening. So when you're looking at these sliders wondering what on earth to do with them, the best thing is do one at a time, look at the image that you're working with and see what the effect. And over time you start to learn about it. You'll see there's a thing that says temperature. What that stands for is it's the white balance, the color balance of the image. So these cameras today that I'm filming on are color balanced based on the lighting that we have in the room today. You take me outside and kept the cameras on the same setting, you'll see that there's a blue thing to the bar. You'll see that that is more blue colour. If we just suddenly jumped outside, I would look more blue. When we're inside, it's more yellow. So colour balance is about playing with those sliders to make sure that it looks the same to your eye. And that is equally important when you're using monitors to make sure that you've roughly got a colour accurate monitor. Also bear in mind that everyone's devices and monitors might be slightly different, so you sometimes need to edit for the platform that you think you're going to be on. So here's an example of what a HDR image. You may have seen the term HDR on your mobile device. We had the pleasure of working on the opening of Darlington Library. If you look at the top right here, you will see that we've got 4 images in sort of a film roll. The first image on the left, number 28, is a mediumly exposed image. That is pulling out a general thing. That's like your typical image that you'd have when you take the picture on its own. If you then look at image number 29, you'll see the lights are showing through and everything else is dark. And then when you look at image 30, you'll see that it actually looks really bright and overexposed. But the key thing to look at is the coffee table area in the bottom left. You'll see that we've got actually a fairly decent exposure on there. When you overlay them together, what you do is you get a mixture of all of the different exposures, and Adobe Lightroom does this for you. And you'll see that the final image gives you a brighter, more evenly exposed image than you had in the first place. You can also do this with focus. So you can focus in 3 different places, and then you've got 3 images all in focus throughout the way. So it's important to think about the environments that you're sitting in. You can use a simple thing. Equally, HDR mode on your phone does this for you. And that you want to be using that when you've got light and dark in a very similar place. So like the library there. And the image came up fantastic. So that is a quick touch on how you can create better content. Basically, there's loads of things to consider when it comes to your gear and your equipment. Sky is the limit. But you just need to pick something. What I'd say is just start doing it. Start using the things that you have, and as you develop, learn, see what you want, and then make. If you want to make purchasing decisions around software, equipment, please do so. But just start, and you can start by using the phone in your pocket to make better content. If you've got any questions about anything that I've covered in the video, please leave in a comment below. And equally, keep an eye out for the next On The Biz workshop. And you can also check out the On The Biz playlist, which we have prepared right here for you. See you next time.